When the woman, Mornike, came into the house, Adesewa didn't know yet that her life would change completely. Her father was busy most of the time, always at work, always occupied with one thing or another. He wasn't a careless man, not at all. He loved his daughter. It was just that work kept him away, and when he was home, Mornike acted like the perfect wife. She smiled, cooked, called him sir, and sometimes even praised Adesewa in front of him. To her father, everything seemed normal. He never noticed the dark shadow settling over his daughter. But the moment the door closed behind him, the real Mornike showed her true colors. She would shout for the smallest mistake, even if Adesewa had done nothing wrong. "Why is this wrapper so dirty? Can't you do anything right?" Mornike shouted one evening, yanking Adesewa by the arm. The girl stumbled. I tried," Adesewa whispered, her voice trembling. "You tried. You think trying is enough. You useless child. You will learn today what happens when you disobey me." Before Adesewa could react, Mornike slapped her across the face. Hard. The sound echoed in the small room. Sometimes she would pour food on her head, hot stew or soup, just to watch Adesewa cry and scramble to clean it up. Sometimes she would throw plates across the room, making the girl duck for cover. It didn't stop there. She would lock Adesewa in her room for hours, denying her food or water. She made her eat last, or only scraps, until the girl became so weak that her bones rattled beneath her skin. Adesewa's hair became messy, her skin pale, her eyes sunken. She stopped smiling. She stopped talking much. "Move faster." Mornike would yell as Adesewa swept the compound under the blazing sun. "You think this house will clean itself? You lazy girl." Adesewa endured everything. She never told her father. She couldn't. Every time she thought of speaking, she imagined his face, the grief of losing her mother fresh in his eyes. She wanted to protect him, even if it killed her. Months went by. A year passed, and Adesewa had become malnourished, weak, and pale. Her bones ached constantly. She could barely keep her eyes open during school, but she still went, still tried, still endured. Neighbors began to notice. They saw the bruises on her arms, the sadness in her eyes. Sometimes, when she walked past, her knees shaking from weakness, they whispered. Some would ask gently, "Child, are you all right?" Adesewa could only nod. Mornike always found a way to smile and act innocent when anyone asked. One evening, the abuse reached a terrifying point. Mornike, in a fit of anger, grabbed a kitchen spoon, chasing Adesewa around the room. "I'll teach you today," she screamed. The girl tripped and fell, scraping her arm badly. But Mornike did not care. She stormed out when she heard her father's voice approaching the door. By the time her father returned, Adesewa was trembling, her small body barely able to stand. She had become so weak that even walking was a struggle. Her lips were dry, her stomach hollow from days of inadequate food. Her father froze, taking in the sight. Mornike's mask dropped. She tried to act as if everything was fine, but her eyes flickered nervously. "Adesewa, what happened?" Her father cried, rushing to her side. I'm okay, sir," she whispered. But the tremor in her voice betrayed her. The father's anger erupted. He demanded the truth, and finally, unable to lie any longer, Mornike confessed, but only partially. He could see the extent of the neglect and abuse. His heart raced as he took Adesewa into his arms. They rushed her to the hospital. Doctors examined her and shook their heads. She was malnourished, dehydrated, bruised, and near exhaustion. "She could have died if you had delayed," the doctor said sternly. Days of treatment followed. For fluids, proper meals, rest, and careful monitoring. Adesewa lay in the hospital bed, pale and weak, but alive. Her father never left her side, apologizing softly, hugging her, promising never to let anything like that happen again. And Mornike. Justice came quietly but firmly. The neighbors had already reported her multiple times, and this incident finally exposed the full extent of her cruelty. The police investigated. She was charged with child abuse and neglect. The courts found her guilty, and she was sentenced, community service, a fine, and time in prison. Adesewa's father now ensured she could never harm Adesewa again. Adesewa recovered slowly, physically and emotionally. But she also grew stronger in spirit. She had survived the unimaginable, endured the darkest moments of her young life, and emerged alive. She went back to school, studied harder, and promised herself she would never be powerless again.